Okay, as you can see right now, I created a simple Django project. That is, I'll be using this Django project to simulate the transactions, the Mpesa transaction. So I've made the integration, as you can see. So right now, I have one table here, transactions, called transactions, and as you can see, there's no any transaction that has been made so far. So I'll be using the Mpesa Daraja API to make transactions to this app, to this Django app, and then the transactions will appear here once I make any transactions from the Daraja API. So I'll head over to Mpesa, to my Daraja API account. This is the sandbox that I'll be using. As you can see, I have two apps here, LPA and Elementrix. I'll be using Elementrix because the product that I want to access is the Mpesa sandbox, which contains the C2B transactions and the B2C and the rest. So this is the one that I'll be using. As you can see here, once you create an app, you're provided with a consumer key and the consumer secret key. So once you have this key, you can generate an access token. So I've already generated an access token that we'll be using throughout this, and this is the access token. So this is my access token, and you can see it expires after 1 hour. So right now I'll be using this access token to make any request to the Mpesa servers. So for this video, I'm going to use the customer to business, that's the C2B, simulating that transaction. And as you can see, for C2B, we need to have a register URL. To register URL, under the body, under the request body, we need the shortcode, we need the response type, and confirmation URL, and the validation URL. If you read through the documentation here, you can see the validation URL. This is the URL that receives the validation request from API upon payment submission. And the confirmation URL, this is the URL that receives the confirmation request from API upon completion. The response type can be cancelled or completed depending, and the shortcode is this is the pay bill number. So I'll register this again. So as you can see right now, I've like tunneled my app to connect to the internet because I'm using the local host server. So I'm using ngrok right now to connect it to the internet so that I may be able to receive the transactions, the Mpesa requests from their servers. So I need to connect to the internet. So that's why I'm using this ngrok. As you can see, I have ngrok running here, and right now I'm online. So if we head back to the Daraja API sandbox, I'm going to make a simple C2B transaction. So for you to make a C2B transaction, first of all, you need to provide the authorization. The authorization is the access token that I generated earlier. As you saw earlier, this is the access token. So I'm going to make a simple C2B transaction. So for C2B transaction, we need the shortcode. This shortcode 601407. I'm using the test credentials provided by Safaricom. As you can see from here, we've got the test credentials, and then we've got this shortcode 601407. We've got also the phone number that we'll be using for testing purposes. As is simulating now, this person is sending some amount to this shortcode number, which also the pay bill number. So right now, if we head back to this simulating C2B transaction, you can see the resource URL is C2B simulate. So right now I'm going to make a request. The shortcode, we've said that is 601407. The command ID is, you can just add anything there, but for now we'll just use the default customer pay bill online. The amount, let me change it to 250. MSI SIDN, this one is the telephone number that is making the payment. So this one is also given by Safaricom for the sandbox. As you can see, bill ref number, just say ref number for now. So I'm going to make this request. Okay, you can see from here, if I refresh this one, we still have nothing in our database right now. There's no any transaction that has been made so far. So I'm going to make a transaction here to our app. So if I send this request, you can see the amount is 250. If I send that request, you can see we have a 200. Okay, that means the transaction was successful. So if we head back to our Django app, if I refresh now, you can see we have a transaction that has been made. The amount is 250. The transaction ID is this one, and it was created 1:30 p.m. Okay, so I'm using the Django, and you know the Django servers are like 3 hours behind, so that's why it's saying 1:30 p.m. because it's 3 hours behind the local time in Kenya. So for now I think it's 3:30. 3:30, let me confirm. No, 4:30. 4:30 minus 3, I think that is 1 year. So you can see we have just made a simple transaction. Let me make another transaction again. So I'll come here, maybe change this to 500, the amount, and then make another request. You can see it was a success. 200. Okay, so if we head back to our database again and let me refresh it, you can see we have another 500 amount that has been transacted. So you can see it's very easy to integrate Mpesa and a Django application or any other application there is, provided we have the APIs working and everything working. It's very easy. So that was it. I think from there you can see the integration was a success. We've integrated Mpesa, the Daraja API using the Daraja sandbox to our Django application, and we're able to make transactions. Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, that is it.